Hello and welcome to Chess with Simon. I'm Simon. So we've got a challenge inbound from Sidewinder, aka Gary, and we've accepted it. The thing is, Gary, I've got white again, which is a bit unfair on you because I've just had white, even though you nearly won. I've just had white. So maybe issue me another challenge as well if you want to, with me as black and you as white. I mean, I don't know really. Or if you like, we could cancel this one. I don't know if that's possible now because it's not rated. So that might be a thing, but it's really up to you. But at the end of the day, I've accepted it and played D4, but very happy for you to issue another one if you want to. I didn't play C4 because it went terribly badly last time. So there we are. So, okay. This game against Nigel, it's like I wanted to play knight f6 here and force the exchange of rooks. The slight problem is this pawn push here, which is actually really good move because, for instance, the natural move is this. You can't take the rook because the pawn just queens. Natural move is this, and then the rook goes here. Then I suppose we go here. That's not bad, that's not bad. Because now, really, white's got to take. But what about, instead of rook here, what about knight here? And then the problem is it's attacking the pawn on a7. And e8's covered twice. You've got a big problem here. This, and then white's winning. So I don't think you can play knight f6. I think you've got to play the check here. And when the king goes here, you've got to play here, covering that square. I think that's what you've got to do. But then again, what about this? Wow. Guess you've got to play this. Might be alright, mightn't it? So against this, you'd then play this, would you, and claim that you're defending everything. Push, and then you just take it. Wow. Alright. We're going to play the knight check, but we're thinking of this. We're making this up as we go along, as they say in the trade. And maybe it always feels like that. This game against Keith. I'm going to move my king towards the centre and assume that in the endgame that's the right thing. At some point I'm going to play moves like b6 and possibly a5 to get my pawns onto dark squares, but at the moment that's not a panic. This game against Liam, okay, so rook e8. Ooh, there's games in this line. Queen c2, right? Queen c2 is what's played. Gosh, because I just wondered if you take here, can you win a pawn? I suppose the issue is just queen takes, bishop takes, and the pawn's not hanging. The pawn's not hanging. Okay, Liam, queen c2. Rook e8 is a common move. I mean, queen c2, and then what are you playing? Well, we'll see what you're playing. Knight e4 is not a bad idea, is it? Okay, fine. Queen c2 it is. Also, you know, there are times when you can threaten to take on c5, although that's a little way off. We planned for this, didn't we, in the last analysis? So we planned for this. So what we thought was that knight here would be good, hitting the rook, and then rook here would be good, and then knight there would be good, and everything holds. That's what we thought. Do we believe it? What about pawn here? Knight there. Takes the pawn. Takes the bishop with check. Goes there. Pretty complicated, actually. Hits the rook. Takes our rook. Takes that rook. You have to take this way. And then we take this way. And Bob's your uncle. We're up. Well, I mean, the point is, what else are we going to do after this? Is there another way of defending that pawn? There is. It's called Queen c4. Is it a good move? Well, it looks pretty unstable to me because it gives the knight a discovery. I mean, I think we want to defend with the knight, don't we? I think we want to defend with the knight. So one more look at the analysis. Knight here, rook here, knight there, pawn there, knight here. It's alright. Takes, check. There, takes, takes, takes. I don't know. And we are a whole rook up. Okay, let's do that then. It looks roughly right. I don't think that exact variation will play out, oddly. You know, by the way, if knight takes b3 and then knight takes b3, rook takes c3 is not particularly good, because then we do... We're okay. We're up in that line. This one, Stuart has very sensibly taken back with the c-pawn. And now, what shall we do? Knight c3 looks a bit... looks a bit like a sort of... It doesn't look like it. It just looks like I'm pushing the queen around. I don't think it's going to be particularly beneficial to black. The knight's quite good where it sits. It's not doing much from c3. I'm not particularly impressed with that move. Isn't h6 a sort of move here? h6, queen d7, just see what happens. See what happens, as they say in the phrase. Justin, how about a check? Check here, king there, check here, queen in the way, takes the pawn, check, we win. I think this is close to a perpetual, and to be honest with you, even though we're white, a perpetual would be quite an acceptable result for me. Just getting used to Justin and the way he plays. I think he's beaten me twice before. Once, slightly bizarrely, in a blindfold game that we played over the phone after I'd made the BBC radio programme, he interviewed me. He was running a rather cool chess website at the time. And I think I played a game without looking at the board. It didn't end very well, I seem to remember. I think I blundered a bishop on d3 after he played c4 as black. It's funny how your brain can remember these things, isn't it? It's actually frightening. Yeah, he's a good player. Okay, so what do we do here? Do we do what happens if we play knight g4? Are we taking that pawn? They just play rook e2 to defend it. What if we? You know what they do is they play bishop e6 in these positions, or queen e7 and then bishop e6, or rook e8, and you either defend it with the rook or the queen, or you just play it straight out and accept the pawn structure being degraded. Look at that, bishop e6. What did I say? But a4 has better stats, although that's a weird move, a4. I mean, it's a very modern move, the kind of gaining space with the rook's pawn. I don't really understand it. Look, no one's playing... People play rook e8. No one's playing queen e7. If it was in a bullet game, which it often is with me, I'd play queen e7 and then I'd follow it up with bishop e6. Ooh, bishop b6. And why bishop b6 again? h3. Bishop e6. I don't understand bishop b6 here. I would be playing something like g6. Well, you can't play g6 because they take the pawn on h6, but you know. That's just rubbish. It doesn't work. Okay. Well, I don't understand. I don't understand anything. Should we just play bishop e6 and do it there? I mean, this pawn structure is not really my style, but they all play bishop b5, do they? Well, okay, let's respect the theory, whatever that is. I mean, I've seen a lot of elite players play with this pawn structure, and they seem to make the best of it. Ian Bush. Okay, so we're going to play Queen B4, and our idea is going to be to play knight, E4, and then when they say, oh, it's pinned, and they take it with a rook, then we take the bishop on B3, and everything's hanging, and then they take back, and then we take the rook back. Or, instead of doing that, we could do rook F B8, but the problem with all of this is then you get Queen G5, and then the only way to defend it is knight E8, which feels very fragile. Whereas if the rook's on F8, it can go to F7, but it can't go to B7 because then the queen just takes checkmate on G7. So what do we think? I think the queen's pretty bad there because it's pinned, isn't it? It's pinning, the rook's pinned. And what's the material? Is Ian up? Oh, he's not up yet. He's not up yet. I might even draw this on a good day. I'm black, aren't I? So drawing it would be some achievement. Yeah, drawing it would be okay. As it happens, we're not dropping a pawn. Although if I play Queen B5, we will be dropping a pawn. Maybe I play Queen B6. That's an enduring image, isn't it? To coin a phrase, I've played it. This game against... I'm not playing E5, just don't like it. Nick, don't pre-program E5 because I'm not playing it. Okay, well, I don't know what to do here, Nick. I don't know what to do. I know what to do here, though. Here, what I'm going to do is do a big check on the with the rook or the queen, and then take that knight. Although, what if the knight blocks the check? Then I can play a move like knight G5 because the queen, the pin on the knight's been unblocked. I like this move. And then when they block it, you just take the knight. And if the knight goes to E6, you play knight G5. There's no real point in playing rook E1 because they just put the bishop in the way and it's kind of so what. Yeah? The fork on C2 is scary, but the black knight can't be maintained, and so it's never going to happen. He said, either the black knight moves or we take it. Is that everything except for the Nick game that I can't fathom? But you know, I fathom the rest, right? Sometimes admitting you can't fathom it today is part of it. It is in itself part of it. You know, that's a decision, isn't it? The decision is not to face it, but you know, there can be times when that's appropriate. I'd missed this check. Luckily, there's no check on G4 because the bishop's defending it. Got to put the rook in the way. I think otherwise... Well, I suppose you could put the bishop in the way. No, you couldn't. It's complete nonsense. You got to put the rook in the way. And I think we're still mating on either H7 or... Well, we're currently mating on H7. Knight takes F6, pawn takes F6, and then you're mating on either of the two squares. H7 or G7. Yeah. So we're self-pinning here, but there's no dark square bishop, so we're not scared. I think we're still winning this quite quickly. We're probably mating in 3 or 4 moves. You could work it out exactly, but my best guess is we're mating in. Should we actually work it out? So there's a mating threat here, so you've got to take the bishop. Then we take back, then it's mate next. So knight takes F6 is forced, pawn takes, and then whatever happens next move is mate. So we're mating in 2. with any black response. e6 attacks the pawn. It's beautiful. We immobilize the centre, then we attack it in the beautiful 4-pawn attack. It's been going on and on. We've won some games. We're at the top of the table. That's where we like to be. We've got a move there. This is actually very beautiful. We're just going to walk our king through the queen side, and you can't take that pawn on f6 because the g-pawn just runs. And there's not much white can do about it, and even the white king can't come and defend the queen side because then the g-pawn just runs. So I think this is winning for black. It's a 4-pawn as well, isn't it? Incredible that it... well, rather annoying for white that a 4-pawn comes down to essentially a pawn endgame. Okay, so we've lost the b-pawn, white's lost the e-pawn. The e-pawn was very valuable because that's where the only breakthrough was coming from. Oddly, the same is true of the b-pawn. It was our breakthrough. So well, that's very annoying for everybody concerned, isn't it? But probably slightly more annoying for white. So what I'm going to do, and this is meant to be a problem piece in the Benoni, isn't it? Should we develop it with a view to swapping it off? Put the knight on d7, put the rook on e8, and we're going to claim we're pretty harmonious. We're going to claim that we've got a decent position. In this sort of Benoni-like position. Wow, what did I do here? Ooh, played the classical King's Indian. On the white side. How very classical of me. I think at one point I thought about playing the Averbach, but that hasn't happened. Oh well. This is interesting because it's a Catalan with the d2 knight slightly misplaced. So the fact that it's slightly misplaced does not make black better. White is still better, but I think white could have been even better by, instead of playing knight bd2, playing c4, which is standard Catalan. We can play moves like c5. I think c5 is the big book move here. Or you can probably play, I wanted to play a6, but that's very rare. Well, it doesn't happen, does it? a6, with the idea that when they play c4 you can take back and then you can play b5 at some point, but you're only hitting the knight, whereas not hitting the queen. Well, we're black. Should we play c5, which has much better stats than... I mean, black's winning more games. I think that's probably because there's more stronger players on the black side. Because strong players aren't really going to play knight bd2. They're going to play a more principled line. In my insignificant opinion, in my humble opinion. Ooh, let's play the Queen's Gambit declined. Although we may not get there, but we'll get roughly there. We'll get to something close. Oh, let's play the bishop check. And the engines really like this check. So it's not checkmate, and it doesn't win the queen. You can put the bishop or the knight in the way. There's really 3 moves. Knight c6, knight d7, bishop d7. Queen d7 is a bad move, because it loses the game. But it's check, and like, Stockfish really likes this at like big depth, like depth 60 or something. Because white's just going to castle and claim that white has a better position. What happened there? Oh look, the next move is the same thing. With a couple of moves in play. Do you play c3 here? I would play c3, but you can play rook e1, I'm sure. I think rook e1's probably the move. Rook e1 is the move. c3 is the second move. Okay, well, let's play the move. I don't feel guilty about that because I already guessed. Caracon defense. Knight gf6. What are you going to do? You're going to take on f6, and then I take back smoothly with the knight. None of this ef stuff which you see nowadays. You're going to back off the knight. So taking on f3 doesn't work to win a pawn because white goes ef and magically the rook defends the pawn. That's a very modern way of defending. You see the same thing, don't you, on the b file in some opening or other. I don't know the opening. How about if we play c5 here? and just try to appropriately gain space. I think that bishop on g3 is really bad. The bishop on g2 isn't great either. You know, this guy's really good. He beat me really easily in the first game. So, what happened there? What happened there? Okay, the computer's going a little bit mad. Blame it on the computer. Pawn to c5. Next. You push e5, don't you? I know you push e5. This is like a version of the Mecanius with pair of pawns swapped off. It's the less common line. So here, it's more common to play e5 here, but we took. Now we're going to play e5. We're going to do something wacky. Like, no, we're not. We're going to play e5. e5. I think black plays d5. It's all quite a time on a tradition. I like tradition. London system. I always want to play c5 here. c5, knight c6. Maybe even... Yeah, they want a castle. No, but c5 has better stats. And c5's a move. c5, c5. Whenever you can, play the c-pawn in the queen's gambit. And the queen's pawn opens. I've got a sneaking suspicion that's it. But my sneaking suspicion is wrong. What do you do here? h6 I want to do. And just kick that bishop. Oh, h6 has great stats. C takes d4 has terrible stats for white. Is it true? h6. Bishop h4. d5, queen a5. Queen a5 is the big move. Queen b3. What's this? Okay, don't know what that is at all. So you're not allowed to play h6, is that what I'm being told? I've got to take. I don't want to take, I want to play h6. I'm a free man, although we're just getting mullered in those lines. Bishop h4. C takes, alright, we'll take on d4. You obviously got to take on d4 sometime. I don't understand why. To be honest, I usually play the blockade system. I think this is the Leningrad response, which Korchnoi and Zach used to play. So I think my instinct is to play h6, and when they play bishop h4 is to take on c3. I thought that's what you did. So should we do that? Let's have a look at the Explorer. h6. Bishop h4. Yeah, take here. Take. d6, and then you play things like b6. bd7. Castle. Yeah, we're alright here. Come on, let's do what we know. Do what you believe in. You might not win, but at least you're coherent. Okay. h6 for you. Is that it? I'm ever so tired. It's 20 to 1. So I want to go to sleep. But there's a couple left. Oh, there's this and there's Josh. Come on. Let's get these done. This. C3? Is it C3? Yeah, it's C3 really. That's what's popular. And we sort of see why, right? You know, we're just gaining space. Josh! What if I just play bishop e7 and develop? Well, I think also they want you to play c5 here, don't they, probably? c5 is what everyone's playing. c5, bishop d6. No one's playing bishop e7, wimpy or bishop e7. They're all playing highly interesting and critical lines like pawn to c5. There is no knight b5 because the a6 pawn would take it. What a relief. This one, why aren't we playing d5 here? I think you're sort of meant to play d5 in these when they don't play bishop e3. Oh, that's not a bad move. It's developing, isn't it? Bishop e3, do they play knight g4? Nope, they play e5. Come on down. Takes. Queen takes. Rook takes. Knight. Knight b5. Wow. Gosh, can't you take it? Let white fork the king and then try and trap the knight in the corner. Mind-boggling. Absolutely mind-boggling. Okay. What about bishop e3? That's what we just looked at. What about d5? Why is that not a move? There are no games in the database. Why not? Knight e5, bishop e2, c6 or something, so what? Or e6, probably c6. Why don't we play knight f3? Because we're going to get pinned, is that the reason, by the bishop? And then when we play, so we go knight f3, bishop g4, knight e3, and then they take on f3. You got to take with a pawn. Yuck. You can take with a queen, but then bad things happen. Maybe not. No, maybe. I think they do happen. Okay. So after bishop e3, they play pawn to e5. Which looks like a good move. Why can't you push? So they take. Queens come off. Knight there. And then you've got to play that. And then they play bishop d6. And you take it? No? You play bishop e2 and say, hey, my knight's misplaced. And they go, I know, isn't it funny? And you go, not really. And then you sacrifice yourself. Alright. Well, I see why we can't play knight f3, unfortunately. And I do like to develop my pieces, and quite seriously, if you develop your pieces, you've got less chance of being caught in a fiasco by quite a significant mark. And I speak as a man who's been caught with a lot of fiascos over the years. You know. Queen's Indian, play d5, do you? Or just castle? Just castle, or play d5. d5 has slightly better numbers. Castling is just really logical. You know, white can't play e4. White can't play d5 without losing material. So I assume there'll be some kind of b3 thing to develop the bishop. This looks drawish, doesn't it? Okay, on this one, you've got to work out the tempos so that we give our opponent the move, but I'm so tired I've got to stop. Oh, look at this. Oh. I think I might have won a game on time or something, have I? Is 5-card draw losing them all on time? Yes. Oh, Stephen Sausage Roll has lost. 5-card draw is losing to everyone except me because I'm moving so slowly. Should I make a really ridiculous first move? No. That's Stephen Sausage Roll. But the thing is, what... Here we go. Shall I play g5 or something? The Borg. Just for the record, the Borg's not correct. So we're not going to play moves that are not correct because it's a bad habit to give and it's not funny. Well, it is funny. It can be funny, but we're not going to do it. Oh wow! Oh, I see. Alright, well, let's develop a bishop then. Onto g2. Takes my rook. Yeah, so you're absolutely definitely taking with a pawn here, and then they're definitely taking on g6. You probably take on c3, they probably take back. But it's an absolute racing certainty that you're taking that rook. You can't just give them a rook. So, that was easy. Then they take on g6, and then if you do nothing about the threat of checkmate on g7, then they take on e6 with the rook, and you can't take with the queen. But you've got a whole move to stop things. Like, one thing you can do is just snap the bishop off. That would be an example. Okay, this is good. Bishop e3 is the idea, isn't it? So that when your e-pawn comes under attack, you can play knight d2. Bishop e3, anybody? Alright, yeah, we'll play bishop e3. Bishop e3 is actually a move, and its stats are really good, so we'll do it. I think this is going back to the Sam Shankland idea of playing bishop e3 before your castle. And if they do attack on the king's side, you can just find out your king's not there, which becomes a bit of a strategic blunder. Okay, we just had this move. Good move, c4. Oh! The Tudornator. Strong. Okay, we're going to have to think about that. We've got 7 whole days. Okay, let's do a little science experiment. And the science experiment is this. In general, I get the tactics right. Let's see if I can do them when I'm absolutely exhausted. This is, you know what, I'm not doing it. It's unwise. It's bad behaviour. I'm absolutely exhausted. I hope you're all well. Hang on. I hope you're all well, and I'll see you all soon. I think this is episode number 60, isn't it? I think it's episode number 60. Correspondence Chess is 60 episodes old today. Look after yourselves. See you soon. Shall I just do one tactics before I go? Because what's amazing about chess is when you're tired, you can do better than you think when you're tired. Although you don't think you can, you actually can. White's move. White's move, white's move, white's move. How about bishop b2, threatening checkmate? Well, rook takes on a1, bishop takes on a1. How about we take the rook and then we play bishop b2? It's not bad, is it? How about we take the rook and the queen? Ugh. Take the rook, we take twice. So if we just take on a4, black takes back with the rook. We play bishop b2. What's white going to do to stop the mate? Not very much, I don't think. Don't think it's very easy. Well, well, well. So now we take the rook and then we take the pawn, don't we? Take the rook and then we take the pawn. Okay, now we have a check at the back and then we take the knight and we've won. Check here. Yay!